Good day, my dear students. Welcome to the new normal of learning. I am your teacher for today's session, Miss Jasmine Uril. I will be discussing the history or traditions of the Southeast Asian arts. This presentation was designed to provide you with fun and meaningful opportunities with guided and independent learning at your own pace and time. You will be able to process the contents of the learning resource while being an active learner. Objectives: identify the different artworks or history of Southeast Asian countries. Appreciate and respect the artworks or history of the Southeast Asian countries and create an artwork such as basket and bag. The people of Southeast Asia were once thought to have shared a lack of inventiveness since prehistoric times, and you have been receptive rather than creative in their contacts with foreign civilizations. Later excavations and discoveries in Myanmar and Thailand, however, inspired some scholars to argue prehistoric times. These scholars contended the people of mainland and Southeast Asia were cultivating plants, making pottery, and working in bronze about the same time as the peoples of the ancient Middle East. And therefore, civilization spread from mainland Southeast Asia to China and India. Southeast Asians do not have a strong tradition of art, theory, or literary or dramatic criticism, for they are always more concerned with doing the actual work of producing beautiful things. Let's proceed to the history and traditions and arts of Southeast Asian countries. First is the Indonesia. The culture of Indonesia has been shaped by long interaction between original indigenous customs and multiple foreign influences. Indonesia is centrally located along ancient trading routes between the Far East, South Asia, and the Middle East, resulting in many cultural practices being strongly influenced by a multitude of religions, including Buddhism, Christianity, Confucianism, Hinduism, and Islam. All strong in the major trading cities, the result is a complex cultural mixture very different from the regional indigenous cultures. Batik is the fabric most common in the country. The term batik is an Indonesian Malay word believed to be related to the Malay word titik, which means point, dot, or drop. The drop action refers to the process of dyeing the fabric by making use of a resist technique, covering areas of cloth with a dye-resistant substance, usually hot wax, to prevent them from absorbing colors. The shadow puppetry famous in Indonesia is wayang kulit. Wayang in modern Indonesian language means show or perform. Kulit means skin, a reference to the leather material that the figures are carved out of. Others say that wayang is also attributed to the Indonesian word bayang, which means shadow. It is a type of puppet shadow play performed around the Indo-Malayan archipelago. Tracing its origins to India, it derived from a Javanese Hindu-Buddhist tradition, where handcrafted leather puppets depict epic stories of gods in shadow play. A traditional gamelan orchestra would accompany the storytelling. These are the examples of artworks of Indonesians. Let's proceed to Malaysia. The culture of Malaysia draws on the varied cultures of the different people of Malaysia. Chinese and Indian cultural influences made their mark when trade began with those countries and increased with immigration to Malaysia. Other cultures that heavily influenced that of Malaysia include Persian, Arabic, and British. The many different ethnicities that currently exist in Malaysia have their own unique and distinctive cultural identities with some crossover. They have also batik as their fabric where leaves and flowers in Malaysian. Batiks are incorporated to avoid the interpretation of human and animal images as idolatry in accordance with local Islamic doctrine. However, the Malaysian batik is famous for its geometrical designs or spirals. The method of Malaysian batik making is also different from of those Indonesian. Javanese batik, their patterns are larger and simpler. More brush painting is applied to be able to put lighter and more vibrant colors than deep-colored Javanese batik. Their craft Wakiten Malay is a uniquely designed Malaysian kite called Wak. Its wings are similar to an Arabic letter pronounced Wow. This kite-making tradition comes naturally to Malaysian people, especially in the eastern states of the Malayan Peninsula. Farmers used kites as scarecrows in the fields and as means of lull their children to sleep so they could work with little interruption. These are the examples of artworks of Malaysians. Let's proceed to Thailand. The culture of Thailand has evolved greatly over time from its relative isolation during the Sukhothai era to its more contemporary Atuhaya era, which absorbed influences from all over Asia, limited Indian, Chinese, Burmese, and other Southeast Asian influences are still evident in traditional Thai cultures. Buddhism, animism, and westernization also play a significant role in shaping the modern culture. Their craft is flying lanterns, which are made out of rice paper with a bamboo frame, which contain a fuel cell or small candle. When the fuel cell is lit, the flame hits the air inside the lantern, causing the lantern to rise. Once airborne, the sky lantern will rise until the fuel cell or candle stays alight. When the candle burns up, the sky lantern floats back to ground. In Thailand, flying lanterns are used during the year and for festivals, with the most popular being Loy Karatong Festival. This festival is held on the night of the 12th moon, usually in November, with Chiang Mai, I believe, to have the brightest and the most spectacular celebration. These are the examples of artworks of Thailanders. Let's first proceed to Cambodia. Throughout Cambodia's long history, religion has been a major source of cultural inspiration. Over nearly 2 millennia, Cambodians have developed a unique Khmer culture and belief system from this syncretism of indigenous animistic beliefs and the Indian religions of Buddhism and Hinduism, Indian cultures and civilization, including its languages and arts reached mainland Southeast Asia around the 1st century AD. Indigenous people represent 1.4% of the total population in Cambodia, and majority of them live in remote rural areas within the country, often referred to as Nine Highlanders. Their ways of life are different from the lowlanders. Both from the cultural and economic perspective, handicrafts are part of their traditional culture and their livelihood, as they produce textiles, baskets, jars, pottery, and other tools for their daily use. Many indigenous groups have established small enterprises and produce traditional products to generate supplementary income in order to support their livelihood. The handicraft sector provides vital employment opportunities to most indigenous artisans and disadvantaged people, especially women who are struggling for survival. These are the examples of artworks of Thailanders. Next is Singapore. Singapore has been dubbed as a country where East means West, gateway to Asia, and a garden city. Singapore's indigenous culture originates primarily from the Austronesian people that arrived from the island of Taiwan, settling between 1500 to 1500 to 1000 BCE. It was then influenced during the Middle Ages primarily by the multiple Chinese dynasties, such as the Ming and Qing, as well as by other Asian countries, such as the Majapahit Empire, Tokugawa Shogunate, and the Ryukyu Kingdom. The Merlion was conceived because the Singapore Tourism Board felt the country lacked a distinct image representing the nation and its history. They set out to fabricate an icon which could tap into the particular myths and folklore of the area, many of which feature sea beasts and magical fish creators. These are the examples of artworks of Singapore. Next one is Vietnam. The culture of Vietnam is one of the most oldest in Southeast Asia, with the ancient Bronze Age Dong Son culture being widely considered one of its most important progenitors. Due to 1,000 years of Chinese rule, Vietnamese culture was heavily influenced by Chinese culture in terms of politics, government, social and moral ethics, and art. Vietnam is considered to be part of the East Asian cultural sphere. Vietnamese silk painting is one of the most popular forms of art in Vietnam. Favored for the mystical atmosphere that can be achieved with the medium, during the 19th and 20th centuries, French influence was absorbed into Vietnamese art, and the liberal and modern use of color especially began to differentiate Vietnamese silk paintings from their Chinese or Japanese counterparts. Vietnamese silk paintings typically showcase the countryside, landscapes, pagodas, historical events, or scenes of daily life. These are the examples of artworks of Vietnamese. I hope you learned a lot during our discussion. So now, we will have a quiz. I want you to answer these questions on your activity notebook. After that, make your answers as a file and send it on my Gmail account. My Gmail account is provided below, and I will check your answers and also send your scores. For your assignment, create an artwork such as basket, bag that can be beneficial in your home patterned by the culture of Southeast Asian countries. Goodbye class. Thank you for your listening. Stay safe and healthy.